So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. The Detroit Lions are coming back home this weekend after a tough loss on the road to the division rival Chicago Bears. The 9-4 Detroit Lions come back home to Ford Field to take on the 7-6 Denver Broncos. One of the hottest teams in the NFL is taking on one of the more struggling teams in the NFL down the stretch, and the Detroit Lions are looking to bounce back, improve to 10-4, and potentially clinch a playoff spot at the end of this week. So today we're going to take a look at this matchup. We're going to take a look at the good and the bad, the advantages and the disadvantages of both teams. And at the end of the day, take a look at who should be the overall victor of this contest. So let's start off with the Detroit Lions, taking a look at where they rank offensively and defensively around the league. The Detroit Lions currently rank as the 7th best passing offense in the NFL, the 5th best rushing offense in the NFL, and the 7th highest scoring offense across the entirety of the NFL. Despite a very poor showing last week, putting up only 17 points, Jared Goff having multiple turnovers, and the offense really not being up to par to where they usually are at this point during the season, where they have been for the other parts of the NFL season. The Detroit Lions had their second worst outing of the season on offense, and they still rank as a top 10 unit in every offensive statistic. Now, defensively, they're actually climbing the ladder very slowly, as we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, as they now rank as the 19th best passing defense. However, they have fallen to the 9th best rushing defense in the NFL. For a team that was once the very best at stopping the run, they are starting to fall off a little bit as injuries continue to arise on the defense. And then the scoring defense did fall a little bit again, as they fall from the 24th to the 25th worst scoring offense in the NFL. They're allowing just over 26 points per game, best for 25th overall. It is not very good, but again, it is actually a little bit better than where they were a few weeks ago. Taking a look over at the Denver Broncos side of the ball, despite being 7-6, the Denver Broncos really don't have a whole lot going for them statistically. 27th in the passing offense, 13th as a rushing offense, and 14th as a scoring offense. They are middle of the road to below average at most offensive statistics, as Russell Wilson and Courtland Sutton have had a little bit of chemistry, but their offensive line allows a lot of sacks. Their rushing game has been okay, but not great, and their passing attack really has struggled for a majority of the season, mostly due to the lack of talent and execution along the offensive line. Now, defensively, the Denver Broncos rank very, very poorly. They rank 24th against the pass, 32nd against the run, and 23rd as a scoring defense. However, a lot of that, especially the passing and scoring defense, is very much skewed due to the historically bad start they had at the beginning of the season. And actually, probably over the last month to a month and a half, they've been relatively closer to a top 10 defense as far as passing defense and scoring defense than they have been to a bottom 10 scoring and passing defense. However, the rushing attack has still been a problem for them. Over the last 5 to 6 weeks, they have allowed a ton of rushing yards. They've allowed, I think, over 600 rushing yards in the last 5 weeks as a defense. They still are not a very good rushing defense, and I think that's something the Detroit Lions can take advantage of as a top 5 rushing attack in the NFL. Jahmyr Gibbs could have a great day. David Montgomery could have a great day. And I really do think that all of them, or both of them, should have a ton of touches versus the Denver Broncos, because they are right now the best playmakers for the Detroit Lions. And against a 32nd ranked run defense by the Denver Broncos, the Detroit Lions should be able to run the ball at will. And when the Lions have been able to do so in the past, they have looked like an unstoppable force. They did so in the first quarter versus the Saints before Frank Ragnow got hurt, and they put up 21 points in a quarter. The last time they were able to run the ball at will was against the LA Chargers in week 11, where they put up 41 points. when the Lions can run the ball, they have a very, very good offense. They put up a ton of points and they can beat anybody in a shootout. And hopefully Ben Johnson's able to commit to the run this week and he's actually able to take advantage of a Denver run defense that isn't very good. Now, taking a look at some of the advantages both teams have, I think the Detroit Lions have a huge advantage in the run game. As I just mentioned, Denver ranks 32nd. Over the last 6 weeks, they've allowed over 600 rushing yards. They are not a good run defense, and Detroit is a very, very strong rushing offense, and they should be able to run the ball pretty effectively, if not even better than what they saw versus the Saints at the beginning, even better than what we saw versus the Chargers, because Denver is the very worst run defense across the league. Another thing I think they can really take advantage of is the tight end. Denver ranks 31st in the NFL when it comes to defending the tight end as far as yards and receptions. They have not been very good at containing tight ends. And Sam Laporta, a player that is already statistically a top 5 tight end in the NFL, should have a very big day from a reception standpoint to a target standpoint. Hopefully, from a yardage and scoring standpoint, I would expect a huge day out of Sam Laporta, as well as a huge day from David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. I also think on defense, the Detroit Lions have an advantage on early downs. Their defensive line isn't great when it comes to pass rush, but they have been really good at stopping the run all season. I know Liam McNeil is no longer there as he has been placed on IR, but they were still pretty good against the run against the Chicago Bears, and I think that they should still be able to stop the run pretty well versus the Denver Broncos. That's where the Detroit Lions are favored on defense, is those early down situations where you run the ball on first, where you run the ball on second down. You try to get those short yardage situations on third, but unfortunately, third down is really where the Detroit Lions struggle. Advantages for Denver. I think the QB play is going to be massive for the Denver Broncos. The Detroit Lions are the very worst team in the NFL when it comes to containing the quarterback. They've allowed more scrambles. They've allowed more rushing yards to a quarterback than any other team across the league, and it's not even statistically very close. The Detroit Lions have allowed, I think, 11 or 12 more rushing attempts by a quarterback than the next closest team, and they have allowed way more yards on the ground from quarterbacks than other teams across the NFL. And I think that they aren't going to have a very good answer for Courtland Sutton either. The Detroit Lions, quite frankly, struggle with big physical receivers. They struggled versus DK Metcalf. They struggled both times versus DJ Moore. They struggled versus pretty much every big body physical wide receiver that they have had to play because they matched that guy up against Jerry Jacobs, and Jerry Jacobs cannot compete and cannot really do a whole lot versus bigger guys that are stronger and more physical than him. So I think they're going to have a big problem containing Courtland Sutton, as well as a big problem getting Russell Wilson to the ground and containing his quarterback play, because if he's allowed to run around, if he's allowed to scramble and make plays off platform, off the script, the Detroit Lions are going to be in trouble very, very quickly in this game. Defensively for Denver, I think that if they're going to be able to win this game, they're going to have to get pressure on Jared Goff, and with the pressure is going to come the turnovers. The Denver Broncos rank 11th in the NFL in turnovers forced by the quarterback, and Jared Goff has, I believe, 9 turnovers over the last 4 games. He has 3 versus the Bears the first time, 3 versus Green Bay, and 3 versus Chicago the second time. He has 9 turnovers over the last 4 games, and a team like Denver, who has forced a lot of turnovers recently, could take huge advantage of that and put the Detroit Lions out of this game early if the turnovers come out like they have over the last month for Jared Goff. Now, I think some important factors for this game. I think overall, if the Lions want to win this game, they're going to have no turnovers on offense. They're going to have to run the ball efficiently, which again, they have shown the ability to do with a healthy offensive line. They're going to have to stop the quarterback on third down because they get to third down quite a lot. The Detroit Lions force third down opportunities a lot. They have a lot of chances to get off the field, but they have a lot of problems containing the quarterback on third down. Justin Fields was able to scramble for 3 or 4 first downs last week versus the Chicago Bears. Jordan Love was able to do it. Even Derek Carr was able to do it once or twice. Taysom Hill was a big problem as a quarterback runner. Justin Fields the first time had several big third and long opportunities converted with his legs. The Detroit Lions are not good on third down, and they need to be better, especially versus a creative quarterback such as Russell Wilson, who can extend the play and make plays off script. The last thing I think they need to do is contain and not break down in coverage. Hopefully Ifeatu Melifonwu can fix some of that. There wasn't as many broken coverages last week, but there were still a couple where Justin Fields was able to escape the pocket and find a wide open guy because the secondary wasn't able to cover long enough, which is not necessarily their fault because covering for 5 to 6 seconds is really, really tough. So if the pass rush can get home and the secondary can just not break like they did last week, I think they will have a good chance of winning this game, even against a really red hot opponent like the Denver Broncos. Now, with all that being said, I can see this game going either way. I can see this game becoming the get right game for the Detroit Lions, where Jared Goff doesn't turn the football over, where they work off the play action, where the run game finally returns and looks elite like it has been in the past, where they get off the field a little bit more on third down. They build off of their defensive performances for a third week in a row. And maybe they're not a great defense, but they are still an improving defense over the last 3 games, including this one. And I can see the Detroit Lions taking this game and winning it in a high scoring shootout, kind of like the Chargers game from a few weeks ago. But I can also see this game as a continued downward spiral where Jared Goff throws 2 to 3 interceptions. Jared Goff fumbles the football. The Denver Broncos are able to key off and blitz a lot and create pressure on Jared Goff and force those turnovers. I can see Russell Wilson scrambling around in the backfield and making off-platform throws to Cortland Sutton as Jerry Jacobs struggles to keep up and struggles to compete. And I can see the Denver Broncos winning this game by 10 to 15 points if the Detroit Lions defense can't get off the field and if the offense continues to turn the football over. With that being said, I do think the Detroit Lions will win this game. I have the Detroit Lions taking a 29-25 victory, clinching a playoff spot after this game, assuming other games around the league go right. And here's why. I think the home field advantage is huge for the Detroit Lions. I think that they are a much better team at home. Jared Goff is a better quarterback at home. They don't turn the football over quite as often at home, although over the last month, that statement is less true than I would like to admit. But the Detroit Lions are back home. They are in front of their own fans. They haven't lost back-to-back games since weeks 5 and 6 of the 2023 season. So it's been well over a year, almost a year and a half at this point, since the Detroit Lions have lost back-to-back games. And even though the Broncos are a very good, very competent, and very competitive football team right now, they do still have a lot of issues. They do still have issues in the rushing defense. They do still have problems with helping Russell Wilson stay upright and keeping him clean in the pocket. And I think the Detroit Lions can take advantage of those things. Hopefully, they are able to do so. My bias might be coming in a little bit here as, again, I do think Denver is going to have a great shot in this game to kind of steal one at home from the Detroit Lions. But I'm going to stay optimistic and say that the Detroit Lions don't turn the football over. They're able to kind of keep their cool. They're able to run the ball just like they did versus the Saints, just like they did versus the Chargers. And they're going to be able to put up close to 30 points, but based almost solely off of the rushing attack and the healthy offensive line alone. So with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Let me know down in the comments below what you think the score of this game is going to be, how you think this game is going to play out. If you're a Denver Broncos fan and found this video, first off, please subscribe. It'd be very helpful, but let me know what you think about this matchup and how you think this matchup is going to play out. Be very curious to hear both sides and both fan bases. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.